29th, 1992. It's an overcast day, a little bit of rain in the area. We're just on the eastern shore of Walter Island off Wine Harbour, heading into Indian Harbour. And as you can see, it's quite a rocky shoal with a thin glacial drift and a very coarse, fringing upper intertidal beach. As we cut across Walter Cove over to Wine Head, you can see that the shoal connects pretty well at low tide to the mainland. Much of these beaches are fed by the glacial deposits shown here, and this again is about probably close to 30 feet high. We're just going by Bewa Cove, a small fishing port which has intertidal flats and zoster grass on the inner part, but the outer part that's protecting the harbour is all rock outcrop with a fairly high fringing gravel beach that is overwashed during storm deposits. This is one of the beaches that is being studied by the Irish scientists.
Looking at Beerish Island, which anchors the barrier beach and provides the protection for the government wharf and the fishing fleet coming out of Wine Harbour. You can see the wharf in the background.
Moving into Indian Harbour. Indian Harbour switched back into a rock outcrops perpendicular to shore and a continuous fringing beach, mixture of both sand, cobble, and boulder. Offshore, we're picking up several shoals coming off that bedrock, and there is intermittent glacial deposits. These ones that just come into view now seem to be somewhat stabilized by trees and fallen debris. One thing to note along here, because of the excess material, I guess, coming along the drift line section of the shore, a lot of the ponds have been closed off by these beaches. As we swing around the Port Hilford area, we'll begin to pick up Port Hilford Beach. We're just starting to pick up the Port Hilford Beach there now. There's several beach ridges, several old beach ridges in the trees. And then when you get over onto this side of Indian Harbour, you're starting to really pick up a lot more bedrock and much less unconsolidated beaches along the east side of the harbour. Shot back into Indian Harbour. There's a good view. You pick up that there's quite a substantial barrier. There's a small inlet outlet on the far side of it. coming out Indian Harbour, like I say, it's primarily a bedrock shore. You can see a spectacular house. There's a view looking down Indian Harbour out to Reed Island. As I was saying, there's a spectacular house built on this rock cliff in Indian Harbour. Small pocket gravel beaches along here, but they're very steep. But for the most part, it's as a bedrock outcrop. There you can see one of the very spectacular gravel beaches. Wasn't adjacent to eroded glacial material. It's probably about 5 to 7 meters high. The low tide today is around 1700, so we're about 2 hours off it. So we're just coming down to low tide now. Coming up on the Reed's Island and a long flanking gravel spits join Reed's Island to the mainland. First of all, we go by several glacial deposits. There are deposits of sand just offshore. The flanking spits coming off Reed Island right now. Spectacular gravel beach, sand in the inner harbor part. They've almost joined up both sides of Reed Island. As we come around Reed Island, getting more into a gravel beach, less sand offshore, and eroded glacial deposits on the outer shore. Sort of fork off of Reed Island. There's probably the remnants of like a story head. There's pockets of sand offshore of them, but they themselves are coarse cobble gravel material with the remnants of a drumlin at the end of one. There you get a really good view of the shoal. They bifurcate on the way to shore, join another island, and then there's Reed Island that's flanked by two gravel barriers. sand just off of the shoal. You're picking it up a little bit in the lighter toned material. The beach itself is gravel, pebble, cobble material size. And then as we get closer to each one of these island areas, we're picking up more boulder material. Spectacular series of beach ridges along this island. Holland Harbour. Towards Pickerton West. And Port Pickerton. These shores are very typical again of the area. The high gravel beach. Guess about 6 meters, 4 to 6 meters. Thin place of debris. Over the shoal that fronts the Port Pickerton Harbour. And we're at about 400 feet. There's quite an extensive shoal right across the inlet. And the ships actually have to go to the eastern inlet rather than this western one. It's too much of a shoal. Structures associated with the village. Most of the trees are sitting on a thin plate, so drift. And we'll make a swing around the Port Pickerton houses and the village of Port Pickerton. Very shallow water on the western side of the harbour. Getting a view there of the inner harbour, the town, the wharf, and then we'll swing back out and see where there's large sand deposits in some of the little coves within Port Pickerton, and you're picking up a light-coloured sand beach there, but it's mixed with cobble, boulder material. Again, much more fuchsious and a wider intertidal. In the middle of Pickerton Island, Pickerton Harbour, we won't go around it, but it again is a fringing gravel beach, flanking spits coming off the landward side, just as we find the Story Head and so on, with eroded glacial drift on the other side. As we go out the eastern entrance to Port Pickerton, around Beerish Head, there's a lighthouse and a navigation light. It's a bit of a sand beach on the landward side of the point, and a much deeper channel coming into the harbour on this side. Bedrock outcrop at the base of extensive sand beach with dunes just to the east of Beerish Head. It closes off a large pond area. There appears to be some bedrock at the western end, but for the most part it's got sandy lower intertidal, steep gravel upper intertidal, and then as we come further out towards Cape Makadoo, you get into more gravel beach with boulders in the intertidal, lower intertidal. Up on Port Cape Makadoo. Again, it's a sort of a fringing gravel beach, fairly steep, attached to a bedrock outcrop on the seaward side of it, and then joining the glacial drift farther landward. Older intertidal, but on either side of this headland there is sand deposits just offshore. Good view there of Cape Makadoo. We're heading into Fisherman's Harbour now. Just off the Cape, there seems to be quite a light area. I think could very well be sand in between the kelp streamers. There's an awful lot of boulder material and bedrock also. Fisherman's Harbour. We've got glacial drift, I guess 10 meters high, maybe 12 meters at most. Fringing steep gravel beach. A few ponds. This is called Never Fail Pond. Closed off by the beach ridges. Moving up Fisherman's Harbour, enclosing Never Fail Cove. Yeah, you're just getting at Never Fail Cove now. You can see there's some sand deposit behind there. The beach itself was gravelly with some new vegetation, so there must be a bit of sand around. A little navigational light, the government wharf. And as you cross the head of Fisherman's Wharf, you can see that there's a cobble shoal extending offshore and an inlet. And then there's a bucket marsh all the way in, which would cause some problems in the cleanup. Going seaward out of Fisherman's at 15-20 hours. We're flying at around 400 feet. We start off with not a bad fringing beach, but you can soon get into a bedrock outcrop and with glacial drift of about maybe 3 to 5 meters thickness at most over top of the rock. The intertidal zone is narrower here than what we've seen in other areas because of the steepness of the bedrock outcrops. lined perpendicular to the shore. You get these blowholes